recording, then you can just email me. My email address, I'll pop it in the chat, but it'll also be on our final slide. Oh, that's someone else joining us. Let's see. There we go. Welcome, Ian. We were just about to get started, but just to let you know, we are recording the session. So just let us know if you have any issues with us recording the session. So I'm just popping my email address in the chat, and I'll hand over to Eloise to start us off. That's okay.
Thanks very much. Just confirming that everyone can see the screen that I'm sharing and can hear me clearly. Can you give me a shout out, just I can't see you?
Yep.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for that. So thank you so much for coming along to this this chat today. You know, it's an evening, it's dark, and we probably all rather be cuddled up on the couch. I know that I probably would. It's been a busy, busy day, but honestly, we're so happy that you guys are here to have this conversation with us. It's a really important one. So thank you. So my name's Eloise, and I work for the Scottish Wildlife Trust. I work as part of the Living Seas team, so that's our marine team. And a piece of work that I oversee is our Snorkel Trail network. So we'll talk a little bit about that as we go, but we want this session to be really interactive. So you'll have noticed here that there's this yellow box. So if it's possible, I would invite you to type this address either into a fresh page in your browser if you're on a computer, or even if you have a mobile phone, sometimes it's nice to have a separate device. The reason for this is that we're going to ask you lots of questions as we work through this session, and we want to collate all your feedback. One thing I'll say about the app is it is really easy to use, the website. So it's app.wooclap.com/Moray Firth. You don't need to sign in, log on, or anything at all. Just follow that link. It'll take you straight there. And everything that you share is anonymous. So there's no names or anything put to any of the comments. So it's a really nice way to hopefully have a bit of communication, but also feel like it's a comfortable, safe space to sort of share your thoughts and any concerns and things like that you might have. So I'm just going to wait a couple minutes for some people to get sorted and make sure you're on. So I've got 2 people so far, 3 people. I think we're 10, aren't we? Is that right, Marie?
We're up to 11 just now. While we're waiting for everybody to sign on there, let's just go around and introduce ourselves so that we know who's with us, and also if they're representing any organizations or if they're just here as interested members of the public. So I'll start off. My name is Marie Dare, and I'm the Learning Officer at Macduff Marine Aquarium. So I'm representing one of the partner organizations who are working on delivering the Snorkel Trail. So then I'll hand back to Eloise, who is our representative from the Scottish Wildlife Trust.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think I sort of introduced myself already, but Eloise, working as part of the marine team. My role is as public engagement officer. So I do a lot of snorkeling all around Scotland, working with lots of marine coastal community groups. And alongside that, I also do other work relating to our project, things like it could be beach cleans, or it could be events, or it could be policy-based work as well. One thing I'll say is it'd be great to do introductions, and we definitely will, but if we can get everyone onto WooClap, there's actually the first question we're going to jump to is a sort of introduction, and I feel like that might be quite a nice way to kind of test the platform and see what everyone thinks of it, and see if it'll actually work for us today. So maybe while we're waiting on a few more people joining in, I think it'd be nice maybe for Lauren, would you be able to give an introduction to yourself?
Sure. Okay, hi everyone. I'm Lauren. I know a few of you, I think, but I'm the other half of the sort of organisation that is involved with this snorkel trail. So I work for the East Grampian Coastal Partnership, and for them, I'm the project manager for a thing called Turning the Plastic Tide. So we do a lot of beach cleans, a lot of working with schools, with communities, talking about marine litter, and basically our goal is to ultimately improve the marine environment and the coastal environment, and to get more people visiting our coastal environment. And of course, the Snorkel Trail is just an absolute perfect way, I think, to get people engaged, to get people appreciating what we actually have in our water, and you know, the accessible points along our coastline. So that's where I come in. Are we going to do other intros, or are you going to use the woo clap, Eloise?
I think we'll use WooClap just to test it out, but I just want to check, is anyone having issues using WooClap? So we've got 7 people on. I think we want the number to reach 11, but that's also, is that also including us, Lauren? So really we want 8?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is including
yeah, that
us.
would
I
be
was
including us, so 8.
Okay, so maybe just
I
one
don't have
person
any
who...
success getting on my laptop, but it's worked on my phone, so maybe others are feeling the same. Like on the laptop, it didn't seem to connect in at all.
Yeah, so you can see my tab just now. So it's app, I'm just gonna app.wooclap.com/Moray Firth. There we go. Right, so that signed me into the session there. So hopefully it was as straightforward as that for you. There we go, 8 people. Great. So looks like we have everyone who's on the call so far, excluding us, of course. So yeah, the first question we're going to ask you guys is, could you please just, if you're comfortable putting your name in there, and also sharing your area of marine interests and expertise. So just in the same comment box, so for example, Jane, wild swimmer, or whatever you'd like to share, just so we can get a kind of read of the room and see who's with us. So I'll give you a wee minute to kind of fill that in.
Sorry, Eloise, you've lost me completely as to what it is you're asking us to do.
Oh, apologies. So all I'd like you to do is go over to WooClap. You've just signed in. So if you could nip over to this page, and a question should have just popped up saying, share your name and your area of marine interest. So you could say, you know, my name's Eloise and I'm a snorkeler, or it could just be, maybe you don't have any marine expertise or interest. I hope you would if you've came along to the call, at least you're interested in the sea, but does that make sense?
No, because I've never heard of WooClap.
Okay, don't worry about the platform, about the name of the platform. It's really just the chat box. Can you see a chat box on your screen?
Your picture of it, yes.
Yeah, great. So what to do is just type something in here. So if you're able to just type your name, that's great. If you'd like to type something in about why you're here, that would be helpful too.
Sorry, but it's just a picture. I can't click on anything.
No, you have to sign into WooClap, Ian. So you use it like on your phone or in a different browser. You just type in wooclap.com.
Yeah, I realised that it might take a question or two for us to get familiar. That's why we kind of threw this first one in, just to see where we were at with it. It's just a case of, right now the question is live on that page. So all you need to do is go to wooclap.com. Everyone's signed into the session. So just nip over to the session you're on in a different tab or on your phone and just type your name. If it's too difficult, if we find that it's just the tech is just, you know, not compatible with the session, then we can definitely adapt it and we can just try. I can maybe just try and take minutes instead. I just thought this might be a nice way for you guys to see each other's answers as well. Oh, here we go. Oh, we've got lots of answers came in. Oh, that's great. I was worried there it wasn't working. Okay, so we have personal interest, things like surfing, wild swimming, general interest, which is great. We've got some organisations here too. So Shorewatch, British Diver, Marine Life Institute. We've got, Marine Mammal Surveyor, the aquarium. Great. Okay, so this just kind of helps us see kind of who's on the call and where your sort of interest and expertise is coming from. What we'll do is we'll carry on using WooClap. If at any point you are experiencing issues and it's maybe just not for you, please do pop your mic on, because I can't see you. So pop your mic on or comment in the chat box, and hopefully Lauren and Marie can keep an eye on that. And if that's the case, then we can see about sort of another option. It might be a case of even having a separate follow-up with you, or maybe just you typing your answers in the chat box as we go. Okay, so just to briefly explain the Snorkel Trail Network, the whole purpose of the network, I think it can be distilled down to this quote. So, no one will protect what they don't care about, and no one will care about what they've never experienced. And this is probably one of the biggest barriers that we face when it comes to marine conservation, in that, you know, out of sight, out of mind is the case for a lot of people. If you don't actually engage with the problem, you don't see the scale of it, if you don't build those personal connections to nature, then that in itself can be a huge threat to biodiversity. It's been called the extinction of experience. So we're having less and less nature experiences all through our lives as children and adults, and because of that, we are, you know, less likely to want to protect these species. So the Snorkel Trail Network currently, you can see all the yellow circles. That's all the areas that the network covers. So we have 8 trails. You can see that at the moment we have quite a lot on the west coast. So this year we're definitely looking to build more on the east coast, which is where the Moray Firth Trail comes in. These are some of the partners that we've worked with so far to give you an idea. So everyone from Scottish Seabird Centre, coastal communities like Arran, Berwickshire Marine Reserve, and so on. So this question here is, how likely are you to consider snorkeling in the Moray Firth region? So again, if you could just nip over to WooClap and answer that question for us. So on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 is very unlikely and 5 is very likely. And again, these answers are all anonymous. So yeah, it'd just be really nice to kind of read the room. We do have quite a lot of people who do use the marine environment already on the call, but it's interesting to think how many of you guys would actually snorkel or do snorkel, you know, just because you enjoy being by the coast, or even, you know, perhaps you enjoy a specific activity like maybe kayaking or something. Doesn't necessarily mean snorkeling will appeal. Okay, so it's looking quite good. It's looking like, yeah, a solid 4 out of 5. Okay. We'll move on just now then. So we just want to highlight some priorities that we have in making this trail in the Moray Firth region. So first and foremost, safety is of the utmost importance, as it always is when any of us do any outdoor activity. We do have a very rigorous health and safety sort of protocol that we follow. We have risk assessments which are put in place, and those are monitored, you know, very stringently across all our organisations. But we also have to respect and understand that these are self-led trails. So we're not going to be there to actually take people into the water and offer a guided snorkel session. These trails are for people to use to explore themselves. So there are additional safety precautions we do have to take into account for that. A good way to think of it sometimes is actually like an ordnance survey map. Someone explained it to me like that, and I thought that was really great. So Ordnance Survey will produce these maps, and they'll highlight really great places to go walking. But it's always the responsibility of the user to make sure that they are being as safe as possible when they do that. So it's just the same case when it comes to snorkeling. So if you're out hill walking, you'd make sure that you check the weather in advance, that you had appropriate clothing, all those kind of things. And it's just the same with snorkeling as well. So we do have snorkel safety information that we include on the Snorkel Trail leaflet, and we also have further information on our website where we refer people to other water safety bodies like RNLI and things like that. So this question here is, are there any specific health and safety concerns that you would like prioritised in this trail? So we know there are a whole bunch of health and safety considerations, and like I say, we are very thorough in investigating those. You know, everything from tides and currents to jellyfish and harbours and all that kind of stuff, boat traffic, you name it. But we want to know what concerns you guys might have particularly in the region. So if there's anything at all, please do chuck it in here. And if you can't think of anything right now, don't worry either, because like I say, the process is very thorough. So we do take it safety very, very seriously when we make these trails. Here we go. So snorkelers should have some guidance on how to behave around marine mammals for the sake of the animals, not the swimmer. Yeah, I completely agree. Nothing comes to mind, that's absolutely fine. Boat fishing interactions, yep, definitely. Especially as in the past, we have had snorkel trails close to things like small harbours and things like that. So yeah, we definitely have to be really responsible. And you know, if that's a consideration, how we do that responsibly. The area around Bowfiddle Rock has good access by foot, but can be quite exposed to swell, so be worth noting. That's true. Sandy Craig, a few sites there as well, offer really good shelter points. Okay, thank you for that. That's really useful. Yeah, currents, absolutely, they can be a problem. So one thing I'd say as well about the snorkel leaflet itself, so like I say, it is self-led, so we want the sites to be the best they can be, and we want to choose some of the best sites in the region to highlight in terms of snorkeling. When it comes to actually pointing out which sites are best suitable, we actually break it down into beginner and advanced zones, as I'll show you in a minute. Does anyone have any other comments? If you do have any further comments, what we can do is we'll share all the questions with you after this session. And if you would like to drop us an email or anything at all and follow up after, then please do. Okay, so one of our other priorities is accessibility. So we want the trails to be accessible as possible. So things that we take into account are the snorkel sites easy to get to? So are there, public transport options, roads? We consider, the walk as well to actually get to the site. It could be things like access to the snorkel sites. So, is there steps? Is there a ramp? Is there a really easy, clear water entry point? We'll look at accessible facilities as well. So do you know of any, for example, public toilets? And are they accessible? Do they have disabled access? Things like that. And also, are there any local groups in the area that do support equal access to nature? So a partnership we built in East Lothian as part of the East Lothian Snorkel Trail. So the charity called Beach Wheelchairs. And yeah, basically what they do is what it says on the tin, is that they offer the hire of free beach wheelchairs along North Berwick. So quite a few of our snorkel trail sites are covered by these beach wheelchairs. So anything that we can do to kind of make this experience more accessible to more people, we definitely want to connect with people who are doing that really well in the area. It could be pointing out local facilities, everything that will support a family-friendly day out. So everything from, toilets, showers, parking, electric charge points, parks and things like that. Anything at all that might make the experience, more accessible and more suitable for families. And this is kind of what the leaflets are going to look like. So this is the kind of format we tend to go for. So this is the East Lothian leaflet. You'll see we have beginner snorkel zones highlighted in blue, and then we have the more advanced snorkel zones highlighted in orange. But I should say that if you are a regular marine user and you do maybe dive or snorkel already, the sites that we consider advanced aren't necessarily sites that you or I would consider advanced. This whole resource has to be suitable for the public and suitable for a broad range of people. So actually, if I actually thought a site was really advanced, I wouldn't really include it in the trail. All it means when we say advanced is that perhaps the water's deeper, perhaps you have to swim out a little bit further, or you have to make your way around the headland, or it's a longer walk to get there, that kind of thing.
Eloise, could you just go back and zoom in on one of the maps for everyone to have a closer look, please? Thank you.
Sure. Let me see if I can. Oh, that's zooming out, isn't it? Hang on. I'm not sure that's doing anything. Hang on a second. What I can do is I'll send a link in the chat box to the snorkel trails. So here we go. Ta-da. So there's a link in the chat box to all the existing trails, and you can download them to your heart's content, and you can kind of get a better look at each of the sites that we are that are currently in use across the trails. So right now we have, I think it's 48 sites across Scotland that are in the trails. We also have a marine biodiversity sheet, so we'll make sure and understand, what species we have in the area that we really want to shout about. So it could be for better and for worse. So if we want to warn people about species that we know are prevalent in the area, especially things like jellyfish that could sting, then we will definitely highlight that there, and we'll put a warning on those species as well, just saying warning, painful sting, things like that. But also, if you have any really special, unique species, something that's really charismatic to the area, yeah, it's really great to kind of have these lovely visuals that people can actually use and kind of check things off if they see it. Okay, so I'm now going to hand over to Lauren and Marie to talk about some of the snorkel sites that we're considering. Before we do that, are there any questions at this point? Okay, if you do have questions, maybe throw them in the chat box just now and we can try and get to them later. But hopefully that there is definitely going to be more discussion around everything we've covered so far.
Great, thank you. Okay, so as Eloise said, these are just at the moment potential sites. So really what we're hoping to do tonight is to get some input from people who are familiar with the areas and see if we're kind of on the right track. So you can see overall here on the map are the sites that we're looking at. And then if you want to move on, please, Eloise, we'll have a look at the first one. So this is our local beach to Macduff. So it's actually called Brodie Baths, which none of us knew until we looked it up online. So this is just down the Pebble Beach from the aquarium, and it's a Pebble Beach access, and it's got some nice gullies with a kelp habitat there. So there's parking at the aquarium, and the toilet facilities are obviously at the aquarium as well. So that's the first site that we have under consideration. So what we're going to do next is we do have some questions to go through, and if you could just type any information you have at all that have to do with the benefits that you would see of including this particular site on the snorkel trail. So I'll give you some time to type that in, but it's a nice kelp habitat, nice gullies to swim in. It's relatively sheltered most of the time. You don't really have to worry about too much of current there. And yes, just a typical kelp habitat, which is actually quite accessible there, apart from the pebbly beach. Oh, fantastic. Thank you. So it's already attracting people to the aquarium. That's great. What else have we got? Good location, quite sheltered. Yeah. Perfect. Just to the east used to be the town rubbish dump in a cave, possible dangers of rubbish, but also interesting. That is true. I have heard lots of interesting finds and loads of golf balls as well down there. Yeah, but that is possibly something to mention, to look out for if people go a little bit too far. Okay, fantastic. Should we move on to the next question? Great. So are there any particular challenges that you see in including that particular site? So the Brodie Baths at Macduff, any challenges anyone sees? Can pop that in as well.
Yeah, just if there's anything obvious that comes to mind just now, don't feel too much pressure to delve into a great deal of detail, but if you have any initial thoughts, that would be great.
So yeah, if there's nothing, then that's fine as well.
No.
Perfect. Thank
That's
you.
what we
We'll
like to
move
hear.
on then. Okay, and any particular marine wildlife that you would expect to see from any experiences? Anything the area is particularly known for? We know we've seen cuttlefish, curled octopus, quite a lot of interesting things you can see just right there, depending on when you go. It's our local beach for the aquarium, so if we're releasing any animals, we'll release it right there. So if you're there at the right time, you might see some overly friendly fish.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we've got any answers quite yet for this question. And as I say, don't feel any pressure to contribute. It's just if you have, oh, here we go. I've got one here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they get caught in the gullies. Yeah, so we can see jellies. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay, then going a little bit further down the coast, we've got the Needle's Eye Rock Tar Lair swimming pool, old swimming pool. Now, this site is a pebbly beach again, but it's quite easy access. There is car parking there as well. I know there are some plans to develop or refurbish the Tar Lair site, which would mean that access to the turning point at the bottom would potentially be limited, but there is still parking at the top. So bearing that in mind, we have decided to go on and continue adding this into the Snorkel Trail if it's deemed appropriate after all of the risk assessments are done, but we are aware of the development that's happening there as well, just so we know we have taken that into consideration. But yeah, so that's the next site. I'm going to pop onto the questions. So the benefits of including this one. So it's a beautiful landmark. If you've not been, I would recommend it. The snorkeling, it is quite a pebbly, sandy beach to swim out at first, but you can go either off to the right and you have the old swimming pool, or if you go off to the left, then you do get kind of patchy kelp as well. So it's quite a variety of stuff that you can do quite close to shore there. Okay.
Great. So
Thank you.
it's interesting to see someone snorkeled there already, yeah, and has some good feedback. So that's good.
Ah, there you go. So it's just Google Maps, I'm afraid. It has its own name for things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would, yeah, any sort of errors in the names and things are probably coming from me as well, just because I'm based in Glasgow and not familiar with the sites at all. So that and Google sometimes might take us a little bit astray, but hopefully Marie and Lauren know all the sites well. So between them both, we can keep ourselves right. But thank you for pointing that out. Oh, nice.
Fantastic. It's good that lots of people have access and familiar with it. So many different things to see. Fantastic. So we're expecting some good entries for the species question then. Right, fantastic. Should we move on to the next question? Okay, so again, the questions are the same for each site. Any particular challenges that you see? I've already mentioned about the development at Tar Lair, but being that that will eventually come to an end, we thought that it was still worth including the site. But any other particular challenges? Sea glass. Getting in the water can be challenging sometimes. You need to go to the west end. Okay, is that due to currents, swell?
Feel free to pop your mic on, yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, feel free to just chat away as well.
Hi, yeah, that was me. Yeah, I snorkel at Talair quite a lot. It is really good, but the central section is quite rocky.
Yeah.
And there's like a single channel. There's also a really nasty metal spike that if you were encouraging people to go there, it would be good to go at low tide and somebody hit that off with a sledgehammer, because it is, you know, it sticks up out of the rocks, you know, fairly high. Somebody could catch themselves on it. Yeah, the swell often on that middle section can be quite big. We normally get in on the west hand side if it's a bit swelly, but it's a fantastic spot for snorkeling.
Great, thank you.
Whereabouts, sorry, just interjecting there. Was that metal spike thing that you mentioned, is that in the middle section?
Right, so yeah, I'm talking about the bit, like, not when you go to oh, I was just about to move my mouse to show you on the picture. Is that's going to work? So not the bit where the pools are, right? The bay, the bay to the left of that.
Yeah.
It's in the sort of central bit. You would see it at low tide.
Okay, no, that's like, because I mean I've been there quite a bit, but I haven't actually seen that, so that's a brilliant thing to point out. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean it was certainly there last summer, because I saw somebody put it on the local swimming group. Somebody put on a warning about it as well.
Okay, that's really good info. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Okay, right, yeah, let's move on to the next question. Okay, and any particular wildlife that's well known for that site?
This question is quite good too, because it lets us know if there's any species we need to be sensitive to in the area. If we know of any, you know, populations or species that are, you know, threatened, things like that as well. It's quite useful, not just from an engagement perspective, but from a responsible marine user perspective.
The swimming crabs. Fantastic. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. All right, our next potential site is the Black Pots site in White Hills. So again, we selected this site because we know that it has good access. There's car parking. It's pretty easy to get into the water. I have not been there myself, but I know we do kelp collections for the aquarium there, and it's a nice area for kelp as well. So that was why this particular site was chosen. So any particular information that you have in this one in particular would be good. So what benefits are there to including black pots? Any other people been snorkeling there?
There we go.
Great play park as well. Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you.
I like this comment. Sorry, Marie. I like the comment about the local brickworks as well, because, you know, making those cultural connections is also a really lovely way to talk about the natural and cultural heritage of the area. So.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Great. And any problems with this one? Any challenges in including black pots? Anybody have any negatives about it? Okay. Fantastic.
I'm not logged in. Sorry, obviously to WeClap, but just to say, when I was there the other day, whopping great big seals have hauled out.
Oh,
Right along, you know, the kind of the wee beach, as if you're going straight out. Just all along the right hand side, there was about 5 seals, grey seals, all hauled out on there. So yeah, not a negative, but you know, there's potential, definitely something that we should probably consider there. But yeah, I forgot to mention that earlier. But
yeah, it could be the case where, depending on how well used the site is, you know, we put up warnings at particular times of year, you know, things like that to avoid using the site between this month and this month. But yeah, no, definitely something to add to the risk assessment for sure.
okay. Should we move on? And wildlife. any
Seals.
other wildlife?
Hey.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks to whoever humoured me there.
Okay. Should we move along? So we do have a few sites to get through. Right,
Okay,
Lauren is
yes,
going to do
that's
this one.
me now, isn't it? Okay, right, okay, so Cully Bay, looks like there was a bit of mist going on when that photo was picked, doesn't there? But this is a really cool little bay that is quite secluded, and it's just near, well, it's not that far from Pennon, but the bay before that, you've got Millshore as well, and then you've got Cully, and this is really great spot. It's got parking. So there's that there. There's no toilets or any other amenities on site. And so everything else is probably in Pennon, which is a reasonable way away. Once from the car park itself, there is quite a steep path that goes down into the bay. Once you're down in the bay, it's really nice and secluded. It's very sheltered. I mean, depending on which way weather and swell, etc., is coming from. But there's a nice, easy entry. Just off the pebbly beach, goes into sand further out. You've actually got quite a nice sandy area, which is particularly good at certain times of the year for sand eels. They're really cool. You can see them burrowing and they pop up. And then if you're swimming around, they tend to like shoal together and then bury themselves back under. So that's really nice little bit there. And on the right hand, say if you were heading out, if you stood on the beach and you were heading straight out, on the right hand side of the bay, you've got quite a lot of rocky area, which is very rocky kelp shore. Along there, you've even got little swim throughs and all sorts of places to explore. It is gorgeous with the kelp coming up through there. And I mean, all sorts of life springs to mind, the sand eels in particular, but also little sea slugs, nudibranchs, polycera species, which are like white and yellow. They're really good there. Then they can be found on the kelp and on some of the rocks as well. Yeah, so quite a cool site, but yeah, perhaps a little challenging in terms of the sort of steeper walk down to the site to begin with. Okay, what's the first question? Okay, so yeah, benefits. So hopefully, if you've either been there before or maybe from a few things I've said, yeah, it is stunning bay. Any more for any more? Beauty can carry that bay alone, that's okay. We can crack on. Okay, yes, any challenges that you might think of? I have mentioned the sort of steeper slope down, and it is a little bit removed from amenities in a way that perhaps somewhere like Macduff or something isn't, because that's quite on the doorstep with the aquarium. Yeah, actually, yeah, we did discuss Millshore as quite a good spot as well, particularly at low tide. That's a good point.
it could even be the case that if both sites are so close and they are really good sites, we could include 2 in the same map, you know?
Yeah, we could. Who put the, well, sorry, it can be completely anonymous, but if anyone's willing to talk about Hell's Lum, because I haven't
Oh,
actually
yeah,
heard that.
me. That was me. Okay, I've got 2 really lively boys, and I have to admit, I didn't take them to Calican Bay until they were like teenagers, because it's actually like, I don't know, you know, when you go out at Calican Bay, round the corner, there's the cave that you can walk through. And
Yeah.
on the grassy slope up the side, there's like, it's just like a split through the rock that goes right through to some really impressive cliffs the other side. But the kids, if they run, I mean, it is a steep slope, but there's
Yeah.
nothing at the top to stop them falling down. It used to, so I didn't take them there for years. They would
Yeah.
have to explore a bit, but it was always something that was on my mind. And yeah, seeing somebody else put it can get really busy. But yeah, that is a reason why I didn't take my boys there, I have to say.
Yeah. Okay, great, thank you. Sorry, yeah, just a comment there saying Mill Shore itself can be really busy in the summer, full of camper vans. I might have been guilty of myself at that at some point too. But yeah, you're quite right. The folk that actually own the land just sort of in front of the beach have turned it into a little spot for camping. So yeah, that's very true. Potentially better access at Mill Shore, but could get far more rammed, particularly in the summer. So this is great responses. Thanks, guys. Okay, next question. Marine wildlife, yes. What do you think you might see? Apart from sand eels and nudibranchs.
Wow, puffins.
Sometimes puffins. It is actually that around that site in Mill Shore, it's actually really good for quite a lot of birds nesting on the cliffs there. There's a lot of I'm getting confused, kittiwakes or what's the other ones? I think it was kittiwakes that we saw a lot of last year.
There's loads of kittiwakes there, Lauren, and
Yeah.
guillemots, razorbills, eider ducks, all
Yeah.
kinds. Proximity to Troop Head, obviously Troop Head is
Yeah,
very
exactly.
close around there. So
Yeah.
you'll see tons of bird life there.
Okay. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so lots of things to have a look out there for, and not necessarily all underwater. They might be bobbing about on the water or fishing in the water, but not necessarily all in on the snorkel trail. So, okay, great, thank you. And Port Soy pools. Okay, so this is a cracking little spot which I literally just went to 2 days ago, was it? Thanks to Claire's guidance, almost ended up in the wrong spot, but we'll get our maps correct, don't worry. This is a brilliant spot. It is just outside Port Soy, funnily enough. And if anybody is aware of this place, it's where again, an old outdoor pool used to be. So that is unfortunately hasn't been maintained, so that's just the sort of the outline of it that's left now, and it's not a pool really at all. It's all drained out. But this site's really good. You can drive all the way down to, I think on that map it's a little hard to see, but basically where that red spot is, just to the right, the car park is just down there. There's a few potholes, but there's access all the way down. There is also, if you look up on that map, there's a little sort of dirt area higher up on the cliff that the road goes past. There's like an overspill car park that's up there. So actually you could park there and walk down if you wanted to, and it's like a tarmac road for most of it. So parking's great. There's obviously no toilets, showers, etc. right on the spot, but you've got a coastal walk that you can go straight through into Port Soy along that way, and there's plenty of folk walking that path actually when I was there. But down there it's brilliant. So you've got a few kind of gully styles where you've got like the sandy pebbly areas that you can go straight in, and also you've got kind of around the edge further further round and off the rocks behind the old pool area are some absolutely brilliant areas. I mean, they were just crystal clear the other day, really calm, absolutely lovely. Again, lots of kelp, lots of different seaweeds, different crabs, different nudibranch species. I actually saw the biggest one of any, I don't know if anyone's a sea slug geek, but Fjorda lineata, like I mean, usually you're straining to see these sea slugs with your eyeballs, but this was like honestly good inch long. It was massive. It was brilliant. So yeah, again, pretty enthusiastic about this site. Not that you can tell probably, but okay, let's have a look at any questions for this. So potential benefits for using this site as a potential spot on the snorkel trail. Access, yeah, great access, really is good. And because it's sort of a, yeah, great, yeah. I can imagine going down there in summer actually and it being really quite sheltered and really warm down there, nestled in the cliffs. Are they? Is it the sort of a similar kind of movement to Tarlaire Pools was, trying to get the okay, yeah, I can see the nodding. Okay, well, that would be great. That would be absolutely amazing. But I mean, I suppose it would, if anything, it would close off the site again temporarily, potentially, as in Tarlaire. But if that did actually go ahead, that would be fantastic because you'd have even more things on site for amenities wise. Okay, let everybody, if we're happy to move on to the next one. And yes, do you see any challenges at this site that you might think's worth making note of? The old pool itself looks fairly stable, to be honest. I mean, obviously it's not been in use for some while, but I didn't see any sort of metal things or anything like that sticking out and around there, so fairly good.
Yeah, I realise the questions might feel a bit repetitive, but I think it's important that we get lots of perspectives on these, and I think we're working our way through them actually really well. So we're good for time. We should have time for a bit of more discussion at the end.
Yeah. Okay, and that's okay if there's no challenges there that you can think of. We'll go on to the next. And marine wildlife, if you've been in the water there, let us know what you've seen. Ah, yes, going back and forth. That's actually quite a good point for a lot of these spots, actually, isn't it? It's there's a lot to be looking out for, as well as just the literally, what you're snorkeling on top of, sort of thing.
Yeah, we have in the past included species that you don't see underwater. Like we worked with the Scottish Seabird Centre in East Lothian, and we obviously included birds as a nod to the work that they do. But yeah, I mean, I feel like these are things that are perhaps more visible to people who aren't snorkeling, and can be something that can really excite people to then get in the water.
Yeah, it's always worth a note. Okay, we got any more, or shall we move on?
Looks like that's us just now.
Okie doke, thank you everyone. Okay, so Port Nocky. I think this was this actually mentioned a little bit earlier by someone. So again, really quite a cool site, and we've used it for snorkeling, but we've also done a bit of coast steering there. I used to work for the aquarium, and I know they still go out now, but we used to go out in groups there, and it was always real good fun clambering about and jumping into the sea there. But it's a really, it's quite an iconic area because of Bow Fiddle Rock, of course, which is on that map further around to the right-hand side, I believe. But there's a lot of the way the rocks are there. There's a lot of craggy little inlets, nice clear gullies, really nice kelp. Rocky kelp as well. It's obviously very close to Portnocky village itself. Parking wise, it's usually just along the roads. Correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, but there's not a designated parking area right at that spot, is there? No. So yeah, I think we've always parked along the road. So yeah, maybe not as great for if this becomes very popular snorkel trail. Oh, Claire, sorry, yeah.
Just to say that they are going to be improving the car parking, I believe, at Portnocky at the Bow Fiddle Rock site there. I think they're getting a new car park, benches, and I believe a cafe as well.
Oh, well, that's good to know. In that case,
I don't know when, but I know it's on the cards. Yeah.
But no, that sheds a different light on it slightly, doesn't it? That'd be again another great asset to that area, I'm sure. So yeah, lots of little nice gullies. I always thought it was particularly good for comb jellies actually in the summer as well. Well, actually all types of jellies, they tend to get in sort of quite lion's mane and compass and all sorts in there. But the beautiful little comb jellies that you can just see and with all the little colours going along was always particularly good, I thought. And of course, lots of seabirds as well. Okay, so let's have a look at the questions for those. Benefits for Portnocky, including Portnocky in the Snorkel Trail. What do you think?
Kind of like a game show voice going on now, Lauren.
No, I'm just trying to entertain myself. Maybe got introducing the grand prizes.
Could I just talk about the Portnocky area for a second?
Yes,
Please.
absolutely.
I'm Adam. Is there any chance you could put the map back on so I can just point something out? Is that easy to?
Absolutely. I'll just flick back just now. So the question's going to disappear for a moment, but it'll come back once we move back to it. Okay. Here we go.
Yeah. So all I wanted to mention is I think the area where you've got the landmark, that's where you would do coast-steering. I think that's the most popular coast-steering spot. And when there's swell, it's super exposed to swell there. It gets in.
Yeah.
But as you say, I think it's a really good snorkeling spot. I think potentially if you're able to include two parts on a map for this area, you've got Bow Fiddle Rock. I'm moving my mouse about on the screen as if people can see it as well. But you've got Bow Fiddle Rock there, which is a really, obviously an iconic landmark, and you can snorkel there, and there's a lot to see. But on the very, very right corner of this map, there's a little rock archway called the Whale's Mouth, Whale's Moo, if anyone knows about it. And you can even see on this map, there's a bit of swell this day. And then on the very right corner, there's less kind of white water because it's much more sheltered there. So that area would be a brilliant snorkel spot, especially if you were splitting the map into beginner and advanced, or I can't remember the terminology used. But the beginner part could be, it's like the west end of Cullen Beach, the Portnocky end. There's a pathway along the top for people to access it. There wouldn't be car parking, so they would have to walk to get there. But there's a kelp forest. It's like flat boulder rock under the water in some places as well, easy to access. Whereas even when there's a bit of swell, you could get in the water there safely, I think, and snorkel. Whereas when there's swell in the area you've landmarked, I think that would be a no-go because there can be a lot of currents and stuff there, as you'll know if you've been coast-steering there.
Great, thank you for that. I mean, I don't think I've been to the very far right there that you're actually talking about. But yeah, you can see on that map that there is actually less white water even on that day. Yes, so that's all really useful info. And yeah, you're quite right. We're hoping that with these snorkel trails, like Eloise said, it is just a guide and it's a map and it's people's choice whether they go in or not. So you would be really hoping that if it was choppy, they wouldn't be attempting it. I mean, on a very calm day, exquisite sort of thing, really, really good. But I guess a lot of it will come down to the judgment of people going out. But no, that's great. Thanks for telling us about those other sites, because they'll be worth a look, definitely. Thank you. Okay, shall we go? Yeah, that's it. Back to the questions. Yeah, plenty to see out and about, as well as in the water directly. Okay, I think we touched on when Claire said about hopefully the potential plans for building, expanding a car park, etc., cafe. That's also really positive. So okay, shall we move on? Okay, any challenges that you might see? I guess you can include some of the potentially swelly at times and more advanced areas in that, actually. Worth mentioning in this again. As we'll be able to go back and actually look at any of these responses, just in case we've forgotten anything.
Doesn't look like we've got any further comments at the moment, but as we've said, we can share all the questions with you, and if you'd like to reflect on them and then get back in touch with us, then please do. That'd be lovely to hear from you.
Yeah, exactly. If you do, sometimes just things pop into your head way after, when it's been sort of rambling around your brain a bit, doesn't it? So we'll always be glad to hear of any comments later on. Okay, let's one last question for this one then. Of course, the marine wildlife, and is there anything otherwise wildlife that you can think of that you might be able to see at this site that's not been mentioned yet? Loads of seabirds. Yep, definitely. Quite a few nest all along those cliffs as well, actually. Humpback, yeah, if you're on a lucky day.
The thing is as well, even though some species will be sort of rare occurrences, like you said, sometimes for puffins, for example, I think even people just knowing that those kind of species do come to our coastlines, and they are I think some people would be surprised, if you said humpback whales could be spotted there.
Yeah, it's like orca as well, all up and down the Moray Firth, so many sightings. Oh, that's great. Yeah, bow fiddle. Yeah, great.
I love all the exclamation points as well. The excitement in that. Lots of seabirds.
Sorry, you've got your hands up there. Do you want to just jump in?
Yeah, all I was going to say, and I think I'm right here, that up towards Bow Fiddle there, they've got information boards about what you can see out in the water. I don't actually know who's responsible for those boards, whether they need updating, because I'm sure they don't have, they've got the dolphins on, but I'm not sure they've got, and we get lots of whales off there. We had a whole pod of sperm whale off Tarlaire last year, so we do get an awful lot of cetaceans out there that aren't on those boards, so maybe those boards need looking at. But I think there's a couple of them dotted along by Bow Fiddle.
Or I'm not sure actually who they.
I can't think.
We shall, well, whenever we're next there, we shall have a look, because they've probably got a logo on somewhere or something written on. So yeah, no, that's great, because as I say, loads of people go to Bow Fiddle, particularly quite a lot of people go to photograph Bow Fiddle as well, don't they? So it'd be good to have up-to-date info. Okay, great, thank you very much. Okay, so we've got two more sites to go through here. Hang on in there, everyone. So we've got Sunnyside, and we've got Sandend as well. So I'm going to speak a little bit about Sunnyside, and then Marie's going to just cover Sandend at the very end. But these are, so basically the 6 sites that we've already done, those are kind of what we're seeing as the main potentials. So we've got a couple more sites, but obviously any sites that would be recommended by yourselves as well. So there's a few, I know, mentions of Cullen on the west end. So that's a good place that we could also check out as a sort of backup site. So Sunnyside then, I think also known as secret spot, secret beach. A few people refer to this spot differently. But yeah, it's pretty isolated basically. So it is a trek down to the beach. It's out on its own, but that's also part of its beauty. So again, might be something that this area wouldn't necessarily attract kind of the general public, shall we say, that don't have much experience of going in the water or in different coastal environments. But you know, for people who are in the water quite a bit, they will plainly see the attraction of this site. So again, amazing location, and again, the water kind of, you know, what you're going to see is fairly similar to all the different things that we've already covered in terms of great different crab species, different fish species. But as far as I'm aware, nothing specifically unique, but please do correct me if you've been in the water there and have seen something, you know, in particular that strikes you. Yeah, so nice sandy beach, but basically quite difficult to get to and quite a fair old trek from the car park. So this is one of our sort of potential backup sites because we've just got 6 sites that we're going to actually include as part of the snorkel trail itself. And yeah, so any feedback for this site, let's ask those questions and just flag anything that you think. So benefits for that site.
One thing I'd say as well is it's always nice to include a variety of different types of site in a trail. So there will be, as you say, some sites which will appeal to families and to complete beginners, but then also it's actually lovely when you can to include those kind of hidden gems for those people who are a little bit more confident, who want to find something more remote and a bit more wild feeling.
True. Yeah, true. So yeah, it is just a stunning little spot, isn't it? Okay, shall we carry on? Any challenges that you can think of, apart from the obvious of trekking down to the site? Might not be for everyone, but hopefully, as I say, even if that was on the leaflet, then you know people would hopefully be able to. Yeah. You know, it's sort of it's sort of almost like a risk assessment, isn't it? But yeah, okay. Anybody know? I don't suppose anybody knows if there's any plans for restoration of a path or anything like that along there. No, it's pretty yeah. Again, I suppose it comes down to our risk assessments really of the sites and people's own personal risk assessments.
We could find that out, Lauren, actually, because I think Aberdeenshire Council is involved with a coastal path trail.
Okay.
And whether that's part of it, I don't know. It's just on the edge between Moray and Aberdeenshire. I don't know which part actually even falls in, but I can find that out for you if you want.
It's always worth a question, isn't it? Just you know, might be interesting. And actually good to know, generally speaking. Anyway, to be honest. Okay, let's crack on with the next one then. Any particular species or wildlife that you might expect to see there as a snorkeler? You can think of. Okay. And as I say, if anything comes to mind after, just you know, you can feel free to reach out to us. Oh, brilliant. Okay, that's really good to know. As in cold water soft coral, just for anybody wondering. Not let's not be too literal here. Yeah, that's actually great because there's I mean, I scuba dive along the Moray Firth, and you know, yes, you see dead man's finger coral, but it's usually a lot deeper. But actually, that's great if you can see it from a snorkeling level, because that's pretty cool from that area.
It's one that the kids just love as well, isn't it? Just the name.
Yeah, it says it all. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. Right. That is really worth knowing actually for that site. Thank you very much. Okay, back to Marie, who's going to talk a little bit about Sandend, and then that's the last of the potentially proposed sites that we're covering today. So thanks very much, everyone, for listening to me. Back to Marie.
Thank you. And yeah, last site, guys. Thanks for hanging in there with us. So yeah, this was our one of our reserve sites as well, in case there was anything flagged up with the first 6 that we had identified. It was just an alternate. The reason it's an alternate is because of the potential rip current. So we are aware that there can be rip currents at this particular beach, but it's got great access, it's got great amenities, nice sandy beach, easy entry, and then off to the side, we're talking about the east side, there is rocky outcroppings, and then you can have kelp and lots to see, very typical of the area. And of course, if you wanted to go back across, there is the sandy area that you can snorkel over as well, which you would find lots of potentially interesting things over the sand as well. We've had lots of weaver fish sightings at Sandend. I don't know if you'd see them snorkeling or not, but that's where our little weaver fish at the aquarium came from just this summer. So yeah, any potential benefits to including Sandend? So anything in the area, we know it's got great amenities. So that was definitely something that's in its favor, but anything else that you can think of that would be a potential reason for popping it on there? Yeah, very popular with surfers, yeah. It can be extremely busy in the summer as well, we know that too. Can we move on to the next one? Good parking, yeah. Right, and then yeah, challenges, potential issues with including Sandend. Yeah, we know about that rip current. It's kind of why it's on the alternate list. Okay, fantastic. And then species, anybody been snorkeling there and saw anything unique that you'd like to bring to our attention?
It's cool sticklebacks.
Mm.
I think we caught some of those for the aquarium as well.
Yeah. Right,
Never seen them alive, but you do see a lot of sea potato shells along Sandend. Don't know. Never seen one alive there though.
You kind of have to go digging for it, wouldn't you? Yeah, there's definitely lots to see. Swim from the harbor to the west. Fantastic, thank you. Yeah, it's got some lovely gullies off closer to the harbor, doesn't it? Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you very much, everybody. We think we've got a general question now for ranking. Yeah. So if you've been in the water in any of the sites, which would you recommend? And it's a ranking of 1 till 5, is it, Eloise?
Yeah, hang on a wee second actually, because yeah, I think that it's coming up as a percentage, but I think that's just for me. Let me double check. I think you just choose it. Yeah, you don't need to worry. Just if there's any that you would particularly recommend, you can just select as many or as few as you would like.
Fantastic.
Hang on, sorry. Sorry, I'm just trying to move my toolbar. Give me a second. Tech issues. There we go. Aha, there we go. So quite a lot of people are recommending Cullican Bay.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
Looks like we've still got a few people to share their opinion though. So I can see in the bottom that we've had 3 people in total take part. So if any of you would like to comment, so maybe you don't have any preferences, maybe you're not familiar with the sites, that's fine. But
yeah, maybe you haven't been in at the sites, I guess.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other comments on any of the sites we've talked about so far? You know, would anyone like to put their mic on and say anything about those sites? I realise we've covered quite a lot already, but please feel free if you'd like to.
I'd just like to say, I think Tarlaire is a really beautiful site because you've got such a mixture. There's the sandy bottom with the lovely little, rocks in with clumps of kelp. And then at the side, there's lots of channels you can explore. There's a real mixture there. Lots of rocks you can swim out to. It's good for folk who perhaps not going very far out and people who are, willing to explore a little bit further. It's kind of got it all.
Okay, yeah.
There's a good question in that. Is this a? I mean, when we selected these sites, we went for a bit of a geographical spread, and a bit of a mix. But is there anything that we've missed that people who are swimming locally would have as as a a favourite spot that absolutely has to be tried out? So that's not on that list, just as a point of interest at this time.
You're predicting our next questions, class.
Here you go. I was quickly loading it.
Mind reading there. There we go. That is the next question, isn't it, Eloise?
It is. And if possible, when you mention a site, could you say what you use it for? So if it's picnics on the beach or if it's surfing, those are very different ways to use that habitat.
New Aberdour's got some really good rock pools as well, that's for sure. And caves and all the rest of it. Okay.
Thank you. Fantastic. Any other site suggestions?
Was one of the sites, sorry, Adam, I think it was yourself that mentioned West Cullen. Is that literally accessed from Cullen, or is that more towards Portnocky?
There's a path along the cliff that goes from Cullen to Portnocky all the way past Bowfiddle Rock, so you could access it either from where you park to go down to Bowfiddle, or you could walk along Cullen Beach to get to it, either way.
But it's the far end of Cullen Beach, basically.
Basically, yeah, the west end of Cullen Beach.
Okay. Okay. Banff links. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a case of maybe taking that question away to have a think about as well. But it's good to see some comments on other sites. We can definitely we'll talk about the next steps and we'll let you know how the process develops, because yeah, we want to definitely take all the feedback you're sharing today on board. Okay, will I move on just now?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, so if I can just speak for a few minutes as to the local benefits that we hope that the Snorkel Trail will provide after it has been published. So as you know, as we've explained already, we have a Snorkel Trail network that exists all across Scotland. And within that network, we work very closely with communities. So we work with them just as we're working with you now in the development of the trail. And then once the trail has been published and is made accessible, we continue to work with coastal communities to manage the trail and bring local benefits and evaluate any potential benefits and challenges that might arise as well. So we talk about this nature-based solutions approach. So basically, when we say that, we mean we can use nature to tackle various challenges that we're facing simultaneously. So we realised that by having a snorkel trail in the area, it can bring biodiversity benefits. So we have worked with partners, and we continue to work with partners who use the trails as a way to get people out and doing citizen science projects. It could be seagrass monitoring, things like that, sea search surveys. We even have various projects that are involved in ocean recovery, where some of the snorkel sites are places you can go and connect with coastal communities to actually go out and do things like plant seagrass and things like that. So we do definitely want to connect with biodiversity benefits as much as possible and bring benefits to that area for species. Also the human wellbeing benefits, so getting people out and excited about nature. We talk about blue health quite a lot in some of our engagement work. So I'm sure many of you as marine users have experienced the benefits yourself, physically, mentally, as a community, bringing people together, things like that. And then we're moving on, yes, to societal benefits. So bringing benefits to the local community. It could be things like promoting local businesses and the work that's going on at a community level, whether that's advocating for stronger protection of marine areas, local ocean recovery work, beach cleans, marine events, all of that. And the snorkel trails in terms of coverage, we do get really broad coverage. So everyone from local press up to things like, The Guardian, and sometimes we have bloggers who come along and want to try the trails out and report their findings. So the Coastal Communities Network are really engaged with the Snorkel Trail Network as well. So we work with the Coastal Communities Network, which is managed by Flora and Fauna International. And we work with them in some of our policy work, and we use the snorkel trail to kind of connect the dots there. So just as I was saying, we can get people excited about being in the water, try and get a better understanding as to what species are there, tie in with local efforts and advocate for stronger protection. So at the Scottish Wildlife Trust, we have two main areas we work in. We have community engagement and policy and advocacy, and we're always looking to try and find the overlap between those two areas to better protect our seas. So the question we have for you just now is, are there any local groups or businesses that this snorkel trail may be of interest to? So please, as many examples as you can think of, anyone you know, whether that's perhaps places you could maybe hire kit, like surf schools and things. It could be communities who are all about access to nature. It doesn't have to strictly be marine, it could be terrestrial as well. Thank you. Yeah. I realise quite a few of you already will be part of various groups, so please feel free to give a shout out for them too. But I know that Marie and Lauren especially are, very well placed in the area to know kind of what's going on for the most part. But there's always things that we miss. So. Yeah, we're definitely all about.
Sorry, I had no idea you could get wetsuits at Co-op. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's good to know. And, as I say, as part of the network so far, we work with local businesses to try and bring economic benefits to the area using the snorkel trail. So we work with surf schools and things like that to try and promote the trails more widely and bring people to that business. So we can do kind of little adverts on the leaflet itself saying, come here to, hire wetsuits or whatever it is. And we're also, as a side note, our project, we're working on a new website just now, which will be launched later this year. And it's going to be a kind of one-stop shop for the snorkel trails. It's going to feature each site in a lot of detail, and we'll have loads of opportunity to flag really great community projects and stuff. So I'll maybe move on just now, but yeah, please do give it some thought. And as we say, get in touch with us if you have any other thoughts on that. One thing I'd be really interested in especially is thinking about access to nature. So if you know of anyone in the area who does things like, it could be, you know, mental health focused, you know, offering things like guided walks and things like that. I think it would be lovely to connect with people who are doing that well in the area and try and put a bit of a marine spin on that too. Yeah, so the next question here, we'd like to get your feedback as to what could possibly be done to encourage and support local people and local groups in using the snorkel trail. So, you know, if you have any advice, any ideas, perhaps something that you've done or you've seen done that you think works really well to get people excited about the ocean and actually, you know, wanting to kind of dip their toe or dive right in, literally. I realise it is getting quite late though, so a lot of us might, oh, we've got some good ones here. Signage along the trail, places to collect leaflets and the marine life spotting page to take with them. Yeah, definitely. So we don't have plans currently, we don't have funding to put in new signage, but if we know of signage that's in the area already, then what we can do is connect with you know, those providers and see if there's opportunity to, you know, kind of include maybe a QR code or a leaflet even, things like that. Promotion at local galas along the coast. Yeah, Portside Boat Festival, Cullen Gala. Definitely. Get something on Fubar. I'm not familiar with that. With Fubar, I don't know. Well,
It's a Facebook page.
okay.
Yeah, there's like local news. Once it's up and running, yeah, they'll share it, and I'm sure it'll be pretty popular.
Good stuff. Okay. Thank you. So I'll just move along just now for the sake of time. We're pretty much there, but we'd like to talk to you about the Snorkel Trail launch. Before we kind of dive into that and I hand over to Marie, I just want to emphasise that all the feedback that you've shared today, we're so incredibly grateful for it, so thank you. What we're looking to do next, essentially, is collate all that feedback and go back to the sites that we've considered and evaluate them in further detail. And then what we're going to do is we want to create a short list of sites to then go out and risk assess. So the sites all have been visited by the partners involved in developing the trail. So that's the Trust, East Grampian Coastal Partnership and Macduff Aquarium. So between us, we're familiar with the sites already, but what we want to do is have a more refined opinion on them based on this conversation, and then go out and actually complete a thorough risk assessment along the shore and in the water to determine if the site is suitable to include in the trail, and if it is suitable, which particular snorkel areas should we be highlighting. So that's the next stage in this process. And then once we've gone and done those risk assessments, it will be a case of then basically just mapping out those sites and confirming that we're definitely happy with that shortlist. So we'll let you know about how to keep in touch with the process. But for now, let's hand over to Marie to talk about the launch.
Excellent, thank you. And yeah, it's not a lot of information to share just now because yeah, we have kept you for quite a long time already. But we're planning a launch event at the aquarium on the 17th and 18th of June. So that's going to be a dive-in event. It happens to tie in with Drowning Prevention Week. So the overall event will be all about how to enjoy the marine environment in a safe manner. So we're looking to engage partners like the Coast Guard, and the RLSS and the RLNI, because we've got the Macduff Lifeboat Station. So we're hoping to get the lifeboat station open and accessible to the public as well. So if anybody is interested in coming along and having a presence and promoting their organization, just get in touch with me. My email address is already in the chat. We've got Cullen Sea School coming along as well to promote their activities. And hopefully we'll have a few other partners available along as well. And we'll be celebrating the Snorkel Trail. So if any of you know any contacts with wild swimming groups or any other organizations that do use the marine environment to have fun, to relax, to enjoy nature. But we will obviously want people to do that in a safe way. So that's kind of the overarching theme for the whole event.
Yeah, so you can see those questions popped up just now. So we're just basically getting a read of the room to say, would you like to be involved in the launch event? So it could be as an individual, so you'd like to just pop along and take part in what's happening, or perhaps it's even as, you know, a business or a community, and you'd like to get more involved and offer something on the day, and things like that. If that's the case, if you would like to stay involved, I'll please ask that you email Marie to confirm that you would like to stay up to date with the development of this trail. So because of GDPR purposes, we cannot just assume that you want more information. We cannot sort of take your email addresses from Eventbrite and then just kind of keep pestering you, because that's not very good. So if you want to keep in the know, it's really important that you email Marie and just a quick sentence just to say, just to confirm, I would like to stay updated on the development of this trail. And then again, if you would like to be more involved, even maybe add a little bit about that too. How would you like to be involved? Whether, as I say, it's as a group or as an individual. Great. I'll just move on just now then. I think we've came to the end of this. Yeah, so Marie's already popped her email address in the chat, but just highlighting it again and really clearly. And yeah, just an opportunity to share any comments. So feel free, as we say, to pop your mic on if you want to have a chat about anything, or if you just want to use the wood clap, that's great too. Oh, you're very welcome. You know, I really do enjoy these community events, and it's interesting because before COVID, it would have been in person, of course it would have been, and now it seems like we sometimes run in-person events, but actually feedback has shown that online events are often like preferred by a lot of people. So sometimes the tech can take a little bit of time to get used to, so thank you for your patience in sort of getting used to that at the start.
Oh, and I've got an email already, so that's fantastic. Thank you.
Great. And if you could just help spread the word as well. So obviously the trail is still in development, but if you know of anyone that you think should be involved in its development or might have really great insight to share, please do point them in our direction.
Yeah, and thank you so much for coming along, everybody. It's been fantastic to have your input. We really appreciate your time.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, folks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank
Cheers,
you.
Bye. Bye, Claire.
I thought I'd just hang on.
All right. Very good.
I think that's everybody else gone, I believe. Yes, it's just the four of us.
Just us. That was helpful, eh?
Yeah.
Can I suggest that we stop the record? Is it record?
Oh, yeah, still recording. Yeah, let me stop the recording. Thank you for remembering that. Okay. Go. Stop.